Ladies and gentlemen, your next senator from the state of Maine, Graham Platner.
Well, until recently, I thought that harbor master of Sullivan, Maine was going to be the extent of my political career. And now I am here. And now I find myself on a stage for an American hero, a man who has spent his life fighting for the dignity of others. A man who has had the courage to speak truth to power, to take on anyone who stands in the way of creating the country that we deserve. And I want to say thank you to Senator Bernie Sanders. So I grew up here in Maine, and piecing it together has always been a part of life. Working multiple jobs, seasonal jobs, this is not a new thing for us. But in the past few years, it's really beginning to feel like hard work is not enough. Our hard work isn't enough to keep our hospitals from closing. It is not enough for us to afford health care, to be guaranteed a living wage, to afford groceries, to afford a home, to afford dreams of a future defined not by struggle, but by joy. People my age and younger are being driven out of this state by an affordability crisis. Even those of us who have been lucky, who have succeeded and have built good lives, we see our friends and our families unable to afford the basics of what used to be called the American dream. My wife Amy and I are trying to start a family and coming face to face with the brutal economic realities of parenting today. Everyone in Maine knows in their bones that the system is screwing us. And we know it because we can see it. We watch from the sidelines of struggle as incomprehensible amounts of wealth and power are consolidated by very few. We are all looking at that and we all wonder, why cannot we all share in that success? Now, I grew up in rural Maine, and I did 4 tours in the infantry. And I am not afraid to name the enemy. And the enemy is the oligarchy. Well, that answers the next part of this speech, where I was going to ask you if you knew what that meant. Because I keep getting told that voters don't know what that word means. From the standing ovation, I assume everybody knows what it means, because we know what's happening when we're getting robbed blind. But let's be clear, we do not live in a system that is broken. We live in a system that is functioning exactly as it is intended. We live in a system that has been built by the political class to enrich and support billionaires on the backs of working people. Politicians have made a series of decisions over the last 40 years that have resulted in the world that we see today. Their choices have left many of us with very little, while very few accrue vast amounts of wealth. In 1990, there were less than 100 billionaires in the United States. Today, there are over 800. When you look around, I ask you that when you look around, do you see a community and a state that is 8 times wealthier than it was in 1990? Much of the world that we have today is the specific result of policy choices made by establishment politicians. And the shameful truth of all of this is the blame cannot simply be left at the feet of one political party. We have 2 parties that want the votes of working people, but neither has done anything lately to earn it. No one is owed allegiance. Support must be earned. And that will never happen as long as Democrats are part of the same corporate apparatus that the Republicans are. Now, Susan Collins' charade is wearing thin. This is the easiest applause lines in these speeches. No one cares that you pretend to be remorseful as you sell out to lobbyists. No one cares while you sell out to corporations, and no one cares while you sell out to a president who are all engineering the greatest redistribution of wealth from the working class to the ruling class in American history. Symbolic opposition does not reopen hospitals. Weak condemnations do not bring back Roe v. Wade. Selling out the same working class voters who've delivered mandate for change after mandate for change is not forgivable. A performative politics that enables the destruction of our way of life is disqualifying for the role of United States Senator. Maine deserves better than Susan Collins. And Maine deserves an alternative who is not at risk of being mistaken as being beholden to the same status quo that she is. I am running because it is time for change. Because I believe in a better democracy and in a better system. And I believe that a politics that is willing to sell anyone out is a politics that will eventually sell everyone out. We must stand in the way of those attacking the right of women to make choices about their own bodies. We must stand in the way of those attacking the rights of the LGBTQ community to have the same liberties and protections as everyone else. I believe that input from working people is far more important than input from someone who simply has money. I believe that we should not be settling for crumbs while billionaires eat the cookie we baked. I don't think that a CEO should have more of a voice than a union, and I don't think that private equity deserves more time with a senator than someone who works 2 jobs to get by. I do not believe these things, and I believe that the reason we are in the straits we are today is because that is what has happened. But it has happened because we let it. And the world that we live in today is not how it has to be. We can have a healthcare system that is not a mechanism of extracting wealth out of working Americans, but a guarantee for safety and health for all. Major life events like buying a home or getting a college education can be points of joy and pride, and not relegation to a lifetime of debt. Our taxpayer dollars can build schools and hospitals in America, not bombs to destroy them in Gaza. We can take back the wealth that belongs to us, that has been stolen by corrupt politicians and the corporations that bought them. We can use government to usher in a golden age for unions and workers, not double down on gig work and union busting for the benefit of Wall Street and CEOs. And we can have an economy and a government that works for the 99% and not just for the 1%. One that looks out for the most vulnerable, for children, and for the elderly, where we lift each other up, whether we are trying to start businesses or go to college or buying a home, where we empower workers to fight for fair pay and safe conditions, and where we reap the profits of our hard work. To find that path forward, we need only look down on the shoulders of the giants we stand on. The legacy of the labor movement. The legacy of the civil rights movement. And these are legacies of not asking permission and hoping those in power are going to give you what you need. These are legacies of building power. We don't have a five-day work week because we asked politely for it. We have it because our ancestors organized for it and fought for it. Regardless of what some might want you to believe, power exists for those who are willing to organize and to take it. And power is for the people. That is what I am asking you to do here today, is to come out and join in that organizing, in building real community, real organization, and real power. I am not just asking you to vote for me. I am not just asking you to donate money to me. I am asking you to show up, to come out, go to events, knock doors, do the hard work, do what is uncomfortable, and that is to connect with your neighbors and help us write a new story that leads us from this troubling chapter of our history. And when we beat back fascism, when we defend our democracy and our freedom, let our freedom be a different kind of freedom. Not merely a romantic freedom, not freedom that's solely about defensive infringements on your rights, but a freedom that is material. A freedom to not be condemned to scraps and to struggle, but to live with the dignity and fulfillment that gives us the society that we deserve. Where instead of dreaming of a life where we can get by, we can afford a life that allows us to dream. That is the vision. This is the opportunity before us. We will win the primary. We will win the general. And we will show this whole country the way forward. Because as goes Maine, as goes the nation. Thank you very much.